study today.
Okay.
Different things because there is the two couple of accounting standards. So first of all,
Yeah.
the definition for a financial instrument. So financial
Mhm.
instrument, there's a kind of a definition that is given, which is between two entities, a kind of a exchange for a financial asset of one company to a financial liability of another company. You give me a
Okay.
loan, you are a company, I'm a company,
Yeah.
or maybe you are an individual person, I'm a company. You give me a loan and then you have an asset. Hmm?
Yeah.
That is
Mhm.
a receivable or a loan which you are entitled to recover, and that's an asset for you. And for me,
Yes.
it's a liability,
Yeah.
right? So we know the definition of asset is it's a resource that is controlled by the particular party or the entity which will bring future economic benefit.
Okay.
Liability is the opposite. It is an obligation that we have for another party, which we will
Mhm.
have to pay out later on.
Yeah.
Then we have the other one is equity, which is not a
Yeah.
liability. That is the ordinary share, the investment. That is
Yeah.
basically it entitles you, or it gives you, or it evidences the residual rights in a company. After paying all the people, big or small, the whatever the balance is the equity owner's right, if there's a
So
balance.
evidence is residual rights of a
Evidences
company,
of a residual right. Yeah,
and that is an equity, yeah.
that is equity. So you remember
And
that
liability, sorry, is just
basically an obligation.
yeah.
It's an obligation where you have to pay, and
Yeah.
which is at an economically disadvantageous position. You remember when we
Okay.
were
Yeah.
doing long-term loans and all that, we saw
Yeah.
what is a liability because we have to pay with interest.
Yes.
That's the liability, right?
Yep.
Equity, we don't have to pay, but the equity holder has the right ultimately at the end of the day, after paying all the people, the residual interest is there.
Okay.
So that's the definition, or that's the three kind of variances that we have between the things. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically,
Yeah. Mhm.
you have financial assets, financial liabilities, and equity. So in
Yeah.
exchange for a financial asset, you can have
Yeah.
either a financial liability or equity.
Yeah.
You can invest in
Okay.
my company shares. Then you have a financial asset, that is your investment, and in exchange, I have a equity,
Yeah.
right? Or you can give me a loan, which will be a financial asset for you, and it will be a
Yeah.
liability for me. So that is what we
Yeah.
call a financial instrument, which gives a right of it's a contract.
Yeah.
It's a contract. So both the parties are under contract. That is the character of a financial instrument. So the financial assets are cash, right? Equity
Mhm.
instrument of another company, that you have invested in equity in another company. That's a financial asset. Your cash is
Yeah.
a financial asset. A contractual right to receive cash or another financial asset from another entity. That is, you have given
Mhm.
me a loan and that you have a contractual right to receive money from me, right? Or maybe you have sold me
Yeah.
goods and you have a contractual right to receive money from me. That is what we call receivables, or contractual
Yeah.
right to exchange financial instruments with another entity. under conditions that are potentially favorable. That is where
Yeah.
you can earn interest or something like that.
Okay.
So basically, the examples of financial assets are investment in ordinary shares of another company,
Yeah.
investment in debentures or loan stocks or loan notes or lending to another company. These are basically the financial assets.
Okay.
So inventory, remember, is not a financial asset because inventory does not give you a contractual right to receive a financial asset. Inventory
Okay.
does not give you a contractual right to get equity or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
So the examples are basically these are the examples, right? So there can
Yeah.
be a short question asking to classify a financial instrument, a financial
Yeah.
asset out of many. So
Okay.
on the other side, we have financial liability. So as I said, it's a contractual obligation. You remember
Mm-hmm.
when we were discussing preference shares, we said there's a contractual obligation to pay, and therefore it is considered, even though it is shares, it is considered as a liability.
Yes.
Loan, it's a contractual obligation to pay, it is financial liability. So it's
Yeah.
always a contractual obligation to deliver cash or another financial asset to another entity, and also
Mm-hmm.
to under considerations that are potentially unfavorable. In other words, you have to pay interest.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So examples I showed debentures, loans, bond stocks, bank loans, all are what we call financial liability.
Yeah.
So equity instrument is basically if there is evidence of a residual interest in the assets of a
Mm-hmm.
company after deducting all the liabilities, that is what we call the financial, the residual equity.
Okay.
So you can exchange for a financial asset either a
Mm-hmm.
financial liability or equity, and that
Okay.
transaction, that contract is called a financial instrument.
Okay.
Right? So basically, there are four accounting standards. Actually, three are in force. The fourth one is not yet in force.
Okay.
There are four accounting standards. The IS 32, it deals with all the presentations, the
Yeah.
classification and the presentation of the financials. There are four classifications on the
Mm-hmm.
financial assets. They are later on. I will come to that one. Held for trading, held for
Yeah.
maturity, loans and receivables available for sale, and on the
Okay.
financial liabilities, they are for held for trading and financial liabilities. Two
Okay.
financial liabilities, two categories, and four financial assets categories. So
Okay.
IS 32 will give us guidelines to decide which is available for sale, which is a held for maturity, which is held for trading, all that kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing. And
Okay.
then IS 39, it's a recent standard. It deals with how to measure it. Initially, how to recognize it, and after that, how to recognize it all that is given in the IS 39. Initial
Okay.
recognition and subsequent recognition, all that is given in the guideline in the 39. IFR 7 talks about the disclosures, all the
Okay.
disclosures that need to be made in respect of financial instruments. Actually, this is not part of our F2 syllabus, but we should know
Okay.
IFRS 7. It's basically
Yeah.
about the disclosure. Then
Okay.
IFRS 9, it's all about later on, it's going to be some in 2018, where the
Yeah.
39 will get scrapped off and IFRS
Oh.
9 will take over in 2018. But for the moment, 2000, IFRS 9 is not in force, but we need to know there is a IFRS 9 coming up in another 2 years' time.
Ah. Okay. How do you know this? Do you have to do these continuous development
Yeah,
courses to
that's
find
right.
out?
Yeah, because you have to be updated with all the new standards um,
Yeah.
that is coming up, that is going scrapping up. All that things you have to be really kept updated because these things are
Yeah.
really needed. All the time you need to know. Certain standards
Okay.
are getting updated in 2016, certain standards in 2017, 2018, some are in
Mm-hmm.
the draft pipeline. So all those things you need to have a good understanding of the accounting standards because if you are preparing a report or something for some person, you should be able to tell them that this is very essential for the case study. You should be able to tell
Yeah.
them these standards what we are working out will supersede in 2018.
Yes. Okay.
Right. So basically, looking at the IS 32, the financial
Yeah.
instruments, that is the presentation. So
Okay.
basically, it's all to do with the presentation of your liabilities and equities, and there are certain rules to be looked at. Hmm. So
Okay.
the whoever who is going to give me a loan will have to
Mm.
classify it as a financial liability or equity instrument. So remember,
Okay.
if it's a financial liability, you have a right and the other party has an obligation to pay. If you make an
Yes.
equity investment, it will be evidenced by the fact that you are entitled for residual interest. So at the
Okay.
initial recognition, we have to recognize whether it's a liability or whether it's
Mhm.
a equity instrument. So
Okay.
on the substance, not on the form, because the preference shares, on the form it shares. It's like
Yeah.
equity. But on the substance, it is a liability because it has an obligatory part of it.
Okay.
So we have to remember that one. At the initial recognition, we must identify it correctly. So the financial
Yeah.
liabilities always the issue has a contractual obligation. If your company
Okay.
issued debentures, you have a contractual obligation to pay, and that is considered a financial liability. But if your company
Okay.
issues equity, ordinary shares, you have no contractual obligation, and it will be considered as an equity instrument.
Okay.
So preference shares is a good example. It will be considered as a liability because it has a contractual obligation. So that is why
Okay.
preference shares, even though it is shares, it is classified as a non-current liability, particularly after the IS 32 came into existence.
Okay.
So what is the obligation? Either you have to deliver cash, right? That is the trade payable. You have
Yeah.
bought goods from me, so you have an obligation to pay me.
Yeah.
That's a financial obligation. Or to
Yeah.
exchange on a potentially unfavorable term, that is a loan that I
Yeah.
have to pay that you have to pay something more than later, right? So
Yeah.
that's all. That's all. That's basically how the financial liability. Equity,
Okay.
there is no contractual obligation, and if there is no contractual obligation, you as the issuer will consider it as equity.
Okay.
So this is how the IS 32 will help you to decide when you get money from me, whether it should be considered as equity or whether it should be considered as a financial liability.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? So that's
So if
basic.
there's no contract with an equity, if there's no contractual obligation, then
That's
it's
correct.
classed
No
as
contractual
a as
obligation to pay any dividends or anything like that. Then in that case, it's a financial obligation. It's equity. Sorry, it's
okay.
equity. It's
It's
equity.
equity. Yeah.
So the moment the company issues, you are the financial accountant and the company decides to issue. So the famous question most of the time comes up is the company decides to issue preference shares with a
Hmm.
7% dividend, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
the directors will say, hey, Shay, it can be classified as equity because it's
Okay.
shares. But you have to argue it and say, although it is shares, because we have an obligation to pay a 7% dividend, it is under IS 32, it will be classified as a liability.
Yes. Exactly.
So that's how it is worked out. So the examples are
Hmm.
basically preference shares. Legally, they are called shares. But when we
Yeah.
consider the characteristics, we can see they fall into that category because it's
So
obligation. Hmm?
when you say substance but not on form,
Yeah.
in this context, what do you mean? So
The
on
substance is
paper
the
it's
real
there.
name, the reality. Reality is you have obligation, even though you
Yeah.
may call it the shares.
Yeah.
The ordinary shares, you don't have obligation. So therefore, it is the substance and the form is the same.
Yeah.
It's a legal. Legally, you don't have obligation.
No.
Here, you
Yeah.
can call it preference shares, and that is what most of the companies were doing earlier. They called it preference. They issue preference shares, and they want to consider it as equity. Because there's a
Yeah.
particular advantage if they put it on equity, your statement of financial position, the gearing will come down because you will
Okay.
have more equity.
Yes.
Gearing will
Yeah.
come. That is
Exactly.
advantageous to the company. Higher the gearing,
Yes.
higher the rate. Right? So
Yeah.
you can artificially say that you don't have too much of a risk by putting the preference shares under equity. But IAS 32 prohibits that one.
Yeah.
So that is what has happened. And then we have to think about things like interest, dividends, losses and gains relating to the treatment of the itself. So preference shares are obligations, and therefore preference dividend is also treated as a financial expenditure.
Okay.
Even though
Yeah.
it is dividend, even though it is paid after profit, it will be treated as a financial expenditure.
Okay.
Interest, because it's a loan, it's obligation, interest is treated as a financial expenditure.
Yeah. But
Dividend,
dividend is part of profit, isn't it?
that's
So
correct.
why would
That's correct. That's what I said. The dividend, because it's dividend, it will be considered as a part of profit, and it will not be. It will be shown in the statement of changes in equity, not as an
yes,
expenditure,
exactly.
not as a.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say here is, it will follow the treatment of the instrument itself.
Yeah.
Preference dividends, because preference shares is a loan, it will be treated as a finance expenditure.
Yeah.
Loans, because it is treated as a loan, interest will be treated as a financial expenditure. Dividends,
Okay.
because it is for equity, it will be not treated as a finance expenditure. It will be treated as a statement of changes in equity, as
Yeah.
a distribution of profit.
Yes.
And losses and gains also relating to the financial instrument will follow the same treatment. So
Okay.
if it's a loan, if it's a loss, it will be treated to the P&L. That kind of a situation.
Okay.
So that's basically that is what we are trying to say here. The same treatment for the other part, the tail part. So the preference will be classified as a liability and will be charged as a finance expense to the profit or loss.
Yeah.
Right? But the dividends paid on equity shares will be classified as equity and will be reported in the statement of changes in equity.
Yeah.
Right? So this is basically, so generally the offsetting of financial assets and a financial liability. Now you might have on the
Yeah.
balance sheet an asset and a liability, right? So
Yeah.
generally it is not allowed to offset. You must show the asset separately and the liability separately.
Yeah. Exactly.
Normally assets and liabilities cannot be offset, but there can be very, very limited circumstances where the financial assets and the financial liability can be offset. Very, very limited.
Okay.
And in that situation, you can only report the net amount. So one area that we have is, in our syllabus, it is not there. Earlier we had this defined pension scheme, pension
Yeah.
benefit. We have asset and we have a liability which can
Yeah.
be set off and the net amount can be shown.
Okay.
But normally otherwise it must be shown as a separate asset and separate liability. So the situations are only if the entity has a legally enforceable right to set off the instrument. That is, you have a
Yes.
legally enforceable right to set off the instrument. In that case, you can show the net amount.
Yeah.
Right? You have asset and a liability. You can set it off because there's a legally contractual thing. You have given me a loan. I have given you a loan, and that you have the right to set off that one, your asset and liabilities. In that case, it's all right. Otherwise,
But
not.
you can only offset.
Yeah.
You can only offset if the assets equal the liabilities.
Not
Otherwise, if
necessary.
they don't equal,
Not
then you
necessary.
would be
You
left with
can,
the net
no,
amount. No.
no, it's like this. You have given me 100,000 as
Yeah.
a loan. I have also given you a 70,000 loan.
Okay.
Net amount is 30,000. Ultimately, I owe you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So long as it is two different transactions, but it is legally we can set off. You can show the 30,000 as your asset.
Yes. Okay.
Otherwise, you must show the 100,000 as asset, 70,000 as your liability. Show both the
Yeah.
things separate.
Okay. And that's the only time you'll end up with a net amount if, like,
Net
say,
amount.
your loan is higher than
Yeah,
my
that's correct.
loan
Yeah,
amount to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. Even it is 100 and 100, you will not have asset, you will not have a liability. Net amount is zero.
But you must show it as well. Still, you must show asset of 100,
Yeah.
liability of 100 separately as well.
If it can be set off, it will be zero. Then no need to show.
Okay.
if it can be set off, right? Legally, you have the right to set it off. Or otherwise,
Okay.
the other thing is that you have a intent to settle on a net basis. Your intention from
Okay.
the outset is settle it on a net basis. You owe me, I owe you. Always our intentions are to set it off on a net basis. In that case, we can show the net amount.
Okay.
So these
So what's
are
the difference between that and okay, so basically the same thing. So it's
basically the
basically
same thing.
that.
First one is a more of a legal form. Second one is
Yeah.
more of an intention, more of an
Okay.
internal agreement.
Okay.
Understand? First one is a
Mm-hmm.
more of a legally enforceable thing. Second one
Yeah.
is somewhat internally intended.
Okay.
Right? So these are the only two situations we can set off. Otherwise, the financial assets and the liabilities must be shown. So now we come to
Okay.
the main thing under IS 39, the
Yeah.
recognition and the measurement. So the 39 will provide guidance on financial instruments, how they should be recognized in the statements and how they should be measured up.
Yeah.
So there is definitely the initial recognition. So every
Yeah.
organization, we must recognize a financial asset or a financial liability when it comes to a party to the contractual provision. So remember
Yeah.
the blue line word, the contractual provision. Just because
Mm-hmm.
I have promised you something, just because you have promised me something, it is not recognized.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It must be contractually provided. You have sold me goods. I'm under contractual obligation to pay you. That
Yeah.
can be recognized as a receivable. But just
Yes.
because I have promised to buy some goods from you, that is not a contractual obligation under my part, neither a
No.
contractual right for you to record it as a receivable and a sale.
So it can't be verbal. It has to be in writing.
Or not
Um.
necessarily in writing, it can be even verbal, so long as a
Yeah.
contract can be established. Remember, contracts need not be in writing.
Okay. Yes.
Right?
True.
Contracts, the law of contract says you don't need it to be in writing, so long as the evidence to show that both of us have a contract.
Okay.
You don't need to have everything in writing. Marriage, the contract is entered into in writing. But
Yeah.
marriage can be conferred as a marriage if the circumstances can prove that there was a kind of a contractual arrangement to get married.
Yeah. Yes.
That kind of a situation. So every
Mm-hmm.
business transaction, you don't need to have everything in writing. But normally businesses are done on writing.
Yeah.
Everything is recorded, everything is done. That is what the good corporate governance says. Because it's easy
Mm-hmm.
to provide, it's easy to prove the contractual obligation when you have something in writing. So
Yes.
initially, it should be recognized as asset or a liability only when it becomes contractual. So if I
Yeah.
promise to give you tuition and if you promise to pay me money, I can't consider that
Mm-hmm.
as a receivable from you because I have not uh, entered into a contractual obligation.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So that is it. So initial measurement, immediately once you decide, once you know that there's a contractual agreement, you have either a financial asset or financial liability, it should be recognized at the fair value.
Yeah.
Now I want to, here I want to uh, deviate little bit. I want to think about the four types of assets what we were talking about. So I told you
Okay.
there are four categories of assets that we are going to talk. Number one
Okay.
is fair, what is called held for trading.
Yeah.
Number one, held for trading.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Number two, held for maturity.
Okay.
Number three, loans and receivables. Number
Loans and receipt.
four, available for sale. I'll be coming into these details later on. Available for
Yeah.
sale, right? These
Okay.
are, so let me just explain what is held for trading. You invest little bit of money in the stock market, not with the
Yeah.
intention of holding for a long period, but for couple of days, couple of months, and you want to sell it. So it is basically held not as an investment, a long-term investment, just to trade it off,
Okay.
just to
So
trade
yeah.
it off, right? So that may be that you have invested 100,000. That's an asset. You
Mm-hmm.
paid cash, and you have bought an asset worth 100,000.
Yeah.
Right? So that's an asset for you. Then you may invest another 100,000 on a fixed deposit, on a fixed
Yeah.
deposit, which you are going to hold it for next 5 years.
Yeah.
So that is what we call held for maturity. The intention from the beginning is to hold it for a longer period till the maturity.
Yeah.
Then the loans and receivables, you give me a loan of 100,000, which
Yeah.
I have to settle it in 2 years' time or whatever.
Yeah.
So these are the main three categories. Anything which is not falling into any of these categories, we call it the fourth category, available for sale.
Okay.
So that is later on we will come across some examples which is not held for trading, which is not
Mm-hmm.
held for maturity, which is not categorized as loans and receivable. The non-classified items will be treated as a financial instrument available for sale.
Okay.
Now, when you want, this is the fair value. So this is the value asset today. That is the amount you pay, 100,000.
Yeah.
That's a fair value. Now, the recognition, what they say is, you can see this one, initial measurement. Financial should be initially recognized at its fair value. Directly attributable transaction costs are added to an asset or deducted from a liability except on fair value to profit or. Now, you buy 100,000 worth of shares with the intention of trading. To buy this, you have to pay another 5,000 as an transaction cost.
Yeah.
You have to pay the broker 5,000 or whatever. Now, that 5,000 in this case, that 5,000 is treated as an expenditure, charged to P&L.
Yeah.
So you will actually you will pay 105,000. So you will credit cash with 105,000, debit your fair value of trading with 100,000, debit P&L expenditure with 5,000, and credit cash 105,000. Because you have to buy it for 100,000 but pay another 5,000 as brokerage. So this is how you will record this transaction. Initially, 105,000. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the other three transactions, if you pay 5,000, initially when you are recognizing, you will add the 5,000
Yeah.
and they recognize the asset as 105,000.
Yeah.
So in all the other three transactions, your transaction will be, if it is held for maturity, held for maturity will be debited with 105,000, cash will be credited with 105,000. Transaction cost
Okay.
included.
Okay.
Whereas in the fair value to profit or loss, transaction cost
Mm-hmm.
not included, it is charged to the P&L.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
the first difference I want to notice. In the initial recognition, this happens. Fair value to profit or loss, transaction cost is charged to the P&L. Other way, other tree, it will be charged to the asset itself.
Okay.
Right? Now, again, similarly, let's look at a liability.
Okay.
Let's look at a liability. You borrow 100,000, right? So the liability 100,000 can be categorized either fair value to, what is called the liabilities, fair value to profit or loss or financial liability. There are two categories, fair value to profit or loss or uh, financial liability. Here
Yeah.
again, now you get 100,000 from me, I give you a loan, but to get this loan, you have to pay 5,000 as a transaction. Maybe the broker who introduced to me, he will ask for 5,000.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to pay 5,000 to this fellow. In the fair value to profit or loss categorization, this is expenditure.
Yes.
So the transaction, ultimately you will get 95,000 into your bank account. So you will debit cash with 95,000, debit expenditure with 5,000,
Yeah.
and credit your liability with 100,000.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the entry. But if it is financial liability, when you get 100,000, you have to pay 5,000 out. You will show the net liability as 95,000.
Yeah.
You deduct. So here the
Mm-hmm.
transaction will be cash debit 95,000, credit the financial liabilities with 95. Expenditure not charged to P&L, expenditure charged to the liability.
Yeah.
Right? So can you see the difference? First one,
Yeah.
right? We took the entire 100,000 as a liability. Second one, we net off the charges and did it. So
Yes.
in the asset, in the three things, we added the transaction cost. In the fair value to profit or loss, we did not add it. Liabilities, fair value to profit or loss, we do not deduct it, but financial liabilities, we deduct it. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing that you have to know on the initial recognition. This is what is going to happen. So this is where the things can get complicated.
Exactly.
Step by step, we will try to take it.
Okay.
Then subsequently, now initially you measured it as 100,000.
Yeah.
The fair value to profit or loss, you measured it at 100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The other ones, the held to maturity, you measured it at 105. Then
Yeah.
loans and receivables, you measured it at 105. Available for sale also, you measured it at 105.
Yeah.
If it was a liability, fair value to profit or loss, you showed it as 100. But financial liability, you showed it at 95.
Yeah.
This is your initial recognition. So after 1 year, or maybe after 6 months, when you come to the closing balance sheet, you have to remeasure. You have to remeasure.
Okay.
So the fair value to
Okay.
profit or loss means they are marketable investments or traded investments or quoted investments. It will have a market value. So maybe your market value on the closing. So today is, let's assume we are on the 12th of 11th of December. We are coming to the closing financial year 31st December.
Yeah.
Fair value to profit or loss, let's assume by the day you have a market value of this because these are tradable 110,000. 110,000.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
will value with the subsequent measurement is always at the market value.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this 10,000 gain, you will treat it to the P&L. You will take it to the P&L, 10,000 gain.
Yeah.
Even though it is not realized, it will be treated. But if it is held to maturity, we don't have a market value. We have to go by what we call amortized cost.
Okay.
So I will tell you later on, I will work out the amortized cost. It is worked out on the basis of effective rate of interest and the minus whatever we get, then we get the amortized cost. So that is the value, no market value. So subsequently it will be measured at amortized cost. Any profit or loss on that one, there is no profit, there is no loss because it is done on the amortized cost. So there won't be any charge to the P&L, no charge.
Okay.
Right? Because that the effective interest will be charged to the P&L. Effective interest will be charged to the P&L. So I will come to that one in a moment. Loans and receivables was the same story. It is done on the amortized cost. Same story. No charge, effective interest, if at all, it will be charged to the P&L. So actually loans and the loans also we get interest, that's what we do. But if it is available for sale, it will have a market value. It will be worked out at a market value. It will be taken the fair value, maybe 110,000 market value. So you can see the two items are worked out at the market value number 1 and number 4. It will be restated as these are at amortized.
Yeah.
Right? So this is but the gain 10,000 will not be credited to the P&L. it will be credited to the other comprehensive income. Now that's a change. Between number 1 and 4, both will be revalued at the market value. But number 1, the gain will be credited to the P&L. But in the number 4, the gain will be credited to the other comprehensive. So another slight change here.
Yeah.
So this is the treatment in the P&L. This is the subsequent measurement. So subsequent measurement, you can see held to maturity and loans and receivables, it will be done at amortized. Fair value and the available for sale, it will be done at the restated value or the fair value. Difference is, first one, it is the gain is treated to the P&L. Fourth one, gain is treated to the OCL. Right? So few things to remember.
Yeah.
Then if it is liabilities, it will be also, if it is fair value to profit or loss, that means a kind of a short-term liability that, it can vary in value. So like the money market transaction, you borrow 100,000, maybe at the after 3 months you have to pay 102, or maybe you have to pay 99,000. So that will be valued at the market price again. So maybe the market value is 99,000. So although you have borrowed 100,000, now you have to pay only 99. So there's 1,000 gain, which you will take it to the PI.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it is fair value of the financial liabilities, the 95 will be at amortized. So the P&L will be the effective interest what we had to pay. So I will come to the effective interest in a minute. This is how the 6 instruments will be done. So at the very beginning, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, 4 assets and 2 liabilities, right? At the beginning, number 1, no transaction cost will be recognized. Number 5, no transaction cost will be recognized. 2, 3, 4, and 6 transaction cost also will be recognized in the asset or the liability. At the subsequent measurement, number 1, 4, and 5, it will be restated at the fair value at the subsequent day. Number 2, 3, and 6, it will go on the amortized cost. Then the gain or loss, number 1 will go to the P&L, number 5 will go to the P&L. Number 4 will go to the other comprehensive income. Number 2, 3, and 6 will go to the effective interest, will go to the P&L.
Yeah,
exactly. So don't worry too much of things, but once you do few questions, you will get to know this one very well.
Okay.
So that's basically in a very summary format I did. So equity instruments, I told you the financial liabilities, financial assets are subsequently measured.
Yeah.
Subsequently measured either at the amortized cost or at the market value. Either way it is done. But equity investment, that is an investment where you have a residual interest, it will be measured at the fair value initially.
Yeah.
And it will never be changed.
Okay.
So that's another deviation. Financial assets, financial liabilities, always there will be a subsequent measurement. But equity, there won't be a subsequent measurement. One measurement, that's it. So these are the few deviations we are coming across in this one. So subsequent measurement of other instruments depend on how that particular financial instrument is classified. So IS deals with 4 types of financial assets and 2 types of financial liabilities. So financial liabilities, basically, mostly the bank loans, that kind of thing. So anything other than a fair value for profit or loss, everything is a financial liability. So generally, what is called the fair value to profit or loss is something.
Kumar, just give you 1 second. Sorry,
Yeah,
1
sure.
second. Just
yeah, sure.
Sorry, Kumar, as a post.
That's okay, no problem. Right. So we were talking about the financial liability. There are two categories: financial liability and fair
Yeah.
value to profit or loss. So
Yeah.
financial liabilities are generally what we have is financial liability, the bank loans, the debentures, all that is financial liability. But there are
Yeah.
can be few items which is held for trading, like
Mm-hmm.
this short-term money market lending, that kind of a thing. They are called
Yeah.
financial liabilities. And
Yeah.
we will be learning something called derivative. It's all about
Yeah.
the risk management tools, the futures and the forward agreements. They are also
Yeah.
now we have to account for it under IAS 39, and those are
Okay.
coming under fair value to profit or loss. They are generally very short term based.
Okay.
The medium term, long term based are generally financial liability. So
Mm-hmm.
initially it is recorded at fair value less the cost. 100,000 you
Yeah.
get, but you have to pay 5,000. You record it at 95,000.
Yeah.
Subsequently, it is measured at amortized cost. So let me talk about
Yeah.
the amortized cost at this moment. So what is amortized cost? So amortized cost is simply you have a loan of
Mm-hmm.
95,000, right? You took
Yeah.
100,000, but you have to pay 5,000. So you open up a T account and you credit your
Yeah.
liabilities with 95,000. And there is
Okay.
something you have to pay on this. You have to pay on the coupon, the 100,000. You have to pay the
Yeah.
coupon rate. Let's assume 6%.
Yeah.
But because you got 95,000, right? When you pay 6%, 6,000, it's much more than the 6%.
Yes.
So the effective rate can be anything more than 6%. Let's assume it is 7% for the moment, right?
Okay.
So what we do is we calculate on the 95,000 7%,
Mm-hmm.
because that is your
Okay.
initial liability. So for the first year, you have to charge to your P&L 6,650. So your
Yeah.
entry will
Yeah.
be debit P&L finance charge with 6,650, credit
Yeah.
liability with 6,650.
So debit P&L. Yeah.
Debit
Debit
P&L, your
P&L.
finance charge with 6,650, credit
Yeah.
liability with 6,650. But you will pay to your investor 6% on the coupon rate, 6,000.
Okay.
Right? So that when you pay, you will credit cash with
Yeah.
6,000, debit liability with 6,000.
So debit cash 6,000 and
Credit
debit liability.
credit cash with 6,000, debit
Yeah.
liability with 6,000. Now this balance is what I call the amortized cost.
Okay.
So 101 650 on this side, and
Yeah.
the balance in figure here will be something like 650, 95, 650. This is what we call the subsequent measurement, which will be carried
Yeah.
forward for the next year.
Yeah.
So this 6650 you will charge it to the P&L in the first year.
Yeah.
Similarly, second year, take in the 95 650, 7% you will work it out, whatever the figure. Now the 95 650, 7% will be
Mm-hmm.
your P&L charge for the next year. So
Yes.
6,600 and say 6,700 will be the charge for the P&L next year. Next year also you will pay
Yeah.
6,000.
Yeah.
So it will be carried forward at the subsequent amortized.
Okay.
So it
Mm-hmm.
is actually worked out in such a way, the numerical it will be worked out at a particular point. The final
Yeah.
payment what you make will be the balancing figure in this account.
Yeah.
So this is what we call the amortized cost.
Okay.
So this arises mainly because of the transaction cost, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
when you borrow 100,000, we might decide not to pay 100,000, we might decide to pay 110,000.
Okay.
That's the 6% interest, what you call the coupon rate. So because of
Yeah.
that, we will have a different amortized value, and that is
Mm-hmm.
what is worked out through that one. So
Okay.
effective interest is calculated. So the first one, as I said, cash, the initially once you got the 95,000, you debit
Mm-hmm.
cash with 95,000, credit in the proceeds with 95,000.
Yeah.
Then effective interest is calculated in the opening balance each period. So on the 95,
Yeah.
6650, Debit finance
Yeah.
cost credit liability with 650. Coupon rate is
Yeah.
paid on the 100,000, 6% is paid. Debit liability, credit cash with 6,000. And the balancing
Okay.
figure is the figure that you will take to the statement of financial position as the subsequent measurement. This is how the
Yeah.
amortized cost is worked out.
Okay.
If it is fair value to profit or loss, we don't do all that. We will record it at the
Mm.
fair value. So 100,000 is the value, for example, right?
Yeah.
Transaction cost 5,000, we will debit it to the P&L straight
Mm-hmm.
away. So we will consider it as 100,000. Next year, we will see what is the liability, right? Maybe when you measure it, it will be 105,000.
Yeah.
So our liability has gone up by 5,000. So what we do is
Yeah.
debit P&L with
Mm-hmm.
5,000, credit liability with 5,000.
Yeah.
So the liability is increased by 5,000. If the liability is
Yeah.
95,000,
Mm-hmm.
then opposite credit P&L with 5,000,
Yeah.
debit liability with 5,000.
Yes, because it's
So
gone
that,
down now.
yeah, it
Liability's
has
gone
come
down.
down. When the liability comes down,
Mm-hmm.
it's a profit for us. When the liability
Mm-hmm.
goes up, it's a expenditure for us.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
basically the way that we treat the financial liabilities. One is called the financial liability itself. Other one is called the fair value to profit or loss.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it will be
Mm-hmm.
decided based on certain characteristics, whether it's a financial liability or whether it's a fair value to profit or loss. Initially, it will be decided on certain characteristics.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are certain instruments which has both the equity character and a liability character.
Mm-hmm.
You remember we discussing
Okay.
something called convertible bond,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So the convertible bonds is basically it has both the characters because we initially issue it as 100 liability. But
Yeah.
we give the option for these people, the share lenders, to convert it maybe into 10 shares at a later date,
Yeah.
right? So initially you will be paying interest,
Yeah.
and then at a subsequent point it will be converted and then it will become equity.
Yeah.
So it has the characteristic, it's called a hybrid instrument. It has the characteristics of both the equity and liability.
Okay.
So it has the characteristics of both equity and liability because at one point it's a liability and the other
Yeah.
point it's a equity.
Okay.
So here we will be doing a little bit work later on. We
Yeah.
have to initially when we issue the loan, we
Yeah.
have to split it into two parts.
Yeah.
We have to split initially, not at the time of conversion. Today, when we issue a
Yeah.
compound instrument, a hybrid instrument, we
Yeah.
convert it. First part is the financial liability. So we will see, okay, when we get the 100,
Yeah.
how much have we got to pay him at the rate of say 6%. So we have to pay first year 6, second year 6, third year 6,
Mm-hmm.
fourth year 6,
Yeah.
fifth year 6, and maybe at the point of conversion 110.
Yeah.
So we will look at a particular discount rate and see, that discount rate is the rate for non-convertible bond. If it is not
Okay.
converted, what is the discount rate? So maybe a 5% or something like that. So when
Yeah.
you discount all these figures, you might get a figure at say something like 93.
Yeah.
That we debit it to we credit it to the financial liability. So remember you
Okay.
received cash 100 today.
Yeah.
Hmm. Assume no transaction cost for the moment. You received cash
Yeah.
100. So when you receive that one, it's a convertible instrument. So what you did
Yeah.
was you know that you are going to pay 6666 and
Yeah.
110 at the end of the fifth year. So
Yeah.
converted all that into a present value, which is going to give you 93. So
Yeah.
credit liability with debit cash with 900, credit
Yeah.
liability with 93.
Credit with 93.
93. That is
Okay.
the present value of all your future payments,
Okay.
discounted at the rate of non-convertible coupon rate, non-convertible discounting rate, non-convertible interest rate.
Okay, this is all non-convertible. Okay.
Non-convertible. Normally, the non-convertible rate may be higher than the convertible rate. So it may be not 5%, it may be 7%, or 8, something like that. Because the non-convertible rate is generally higher. So when you discount it, you might find the present value of all that is 93. The balancing figure, we consider it as equity.
Yeah.
This is how the
Okay.
hybrid instrument is recorded. Initially, it will be split into two areas: the future value of all the present money, what we have to pay,
Yeah.
and also the balancing figure is the equity figure. So, calculated at the balancing figure, the option to convert.
Yeah.
So you can see
Yeah.
bulk of the figure will be liability figure. There will be a small figure on the equity. So that is also very important. Sometimes there are certain questions. They will put up certain figures and ask what is the loan figure, what is the equity figure. You don't need to do a lot of calculations because you know, looking at the answer, the big figure is the loan figure.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can save time when you know these little tips.
Yeah.
Right? So they must be shown separately. So that 100 what we got will be shown not as a financial liability. Financial liability will be 93. Equity will be 7.
Yes. Yeah.
That is what you will
Okay.
be doing. So you will be splitting the liability and showing it in the separately the hybrid instrument. Subsequently,
Yeah.
the liability component, as I said always, it will be done on the amortized basis. That 93, you will charge the effective interest rate, deduct the coupon rate, and show it.
Okay.
But as I said, the equity, we don't change it. Equity will remain the same figure.
Yeah. Okay.
7 will remain 7 till the final. Till the final.
Okay.
Right? So till it is converted, it will remain 7. But the loan figure will change every year based on the amortized basis.
Okay.
So that is what we need to do. So any transaction cost, now there can be a transaction cost. Maybe on the 100, you had a transaction cost of, shall we assume, let's assume the transaction cost is 7. I'm going to make it easy, right?
Yeah.
The transaction cost is 7. So we know the proportion is 93 and 7.
Yeah.
So this 7 also will be split according to that one. So remember, I told you that the transaction cost will be added here. So maybe here 6 will be added to here, 1 will be added to here in proportion to the 93 and 7.
Okay.
So the transaction cost will be prorated between equity and liability component based on that. So 93 and 7 is the value. So based on that one, the transaction cost of 7 will be split and that also will be added. So your initial loan cost will be 99 and this will be 8. This will remain 8 forever. 99 will get amortized.
Okay.
So that's basically how you will work out the compound interest. So next lesson, we will look at the financial assets. There are 4 financial assets. We will look at each and every one, the 4 different categories, 4 different treatments. We will look at that one in our next session. And with that, we finish in the financial asset liabilities. We may be able to move into the share-based schemes next lesson.
Okay. It's quite a complicated chapter actually. So
yeah, this is a very complicated chapter. This is a very complicated chapter. You have to pick it up from the beginning. Once you do 4 questions, you will get to know the whole thing. Don't worry too much.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
So I'll
will
see you on Tuesday and Friday.
And Friday as usual.
Okay.
Yep, usual time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Same to you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.